We've talked about the court jester, we've talked about the Mark of Zorro, and when I said, do you want the adventures of Robin Hood, the answer was a resounding yes. So buckle up, we're here for Robin Hood in exhaustive detail. I hope you like the sound of me saying the number 5. A lot. My name is Jill Bearup, I'm an actor combatant, which means I enjoy pretending to hit people for theatrical purposes. Punch me. And the first time I saw The Adventures of Robin Hood was about a month ago, and when Errol Flynn first appeared on the screen, I went like this. Errol Flynn died in 1959, I am in no danger, and yet there was a part at the back of my brain that went, you are not safe, get away. I thought you should know about this opinion before we start, as it may colour what comes afterwards, though I will try not to let it. This episode is sponsored by me, I guess. Buy my merch. It's nice. If you are buying a hoodie, I would advise springing for the premium one because you can wash that as many times as you like and it'll still look good, as opposed to the non-premium ones, which after a while they start to get a little bit bobbly. And by after a while I mean after several dozen washes, but still. Or you could just get a nice sticker. Everyone likes a sticker. Anyway, to kick us off, the plot of The Adventures of Robin Hood goeth thusly. King Richard the Lionheart has gone off on the Crusades and his brother Prince John is after the throne. Richard is captured by the King of Austria, which is good luck for Prince John and the Normans, but bad luck for the Saxons.
I'll be more than worried when I get through squeezing the fat out of their pampered hides.
Who are being taxed so heavily to pay the ransom money that they are starving. Luckily, Robin of Locksley is here to save the day with his amazing archery skills and the most unflattering haircut I've seen since whatever it was they did to Henry Cavill in Argylle. What, I saw the trailer for Argylle? Robin promises to start a revolt, and so he does. On the way, he has a quarterstaff fight with John Little, a sword fight with Friar Tuck, and a tete-a-tete with Lady Marian when he captures her, the Sheriff of Nottingham, and Guy of Gisborne, who are all travelling with the ransom money for Richard that he has extracted from the Saxons. The baddies then decide to draw Robin out with an archery contest where the prize is going to be presented by Lady Marian, and it works. Robin is captured and sentenced to death. Lady Marian hatches a plan for which she enlists the help of Robin's men, they free him, and then he comes back to make kissy face with Marian for a bit. And Marian says, listen, it would be more useful for you and your men if I stay here and I am a spy rather than come and live in Sherwood Forest with you. Just saying. Here endeth the first adventure, I suppose. Adventure number 2, King Richard returns to England in secret. Marian overhears Prince John's plan to have Richard killed, and she is arrested. Much the servant saves King Richard by killing the would-be assassin, and Robin and Richard hatch a plan to interrupt John's coronation, which leads to a big fight, and Guy of Gisborne getting his comeuppance, the goodies win, Norman and Saxon harmony, yay, Robin and Marian ride off into the sunset. Guy of Gisborne, played by Basil Rathbone, is very much our actual physical threat in this movie. Prince John is conniving and evil, but he's not really very physically intimidating, and the Sheriff of Nottingham is kind of a buffoon. So it's Guy of Gisborne who has the sword fight with Robin, because that's just necessary. Let us begin our analysis with the couple of phrases between Guy and Robin which take place in the midst of all of the other action. First impression, it's pantomime. I know that not all of you will be familiar with the grand old British tradition of panto, but if you watch The Adventures of Robin Hood and you think, is this a pantomime? Yes, it really kind of is. The only things we're missing are the audience participation and the pop songs which have inexplicably had their words rewritten. Which might just have been the pantomimes I went to see as a kid because they were school pantos. They didn't feature a dame, they featured 2 teachers as the brothers of Aladdin or whoever as a comedy duo. If you're new, that is one of those asides that seems entirely irrelevant, but no, I have a point, I really do. And the point is that pantomime is a traditional story told in a theatre with vivid colours, catchy music, easily recognisable costumes, and easily recognizable character archetypes, and this movie has all of that. We have a dashing hero, a beautiful lady, a dastardly villain. The colors are bright. I mean, they literally sprayed the trees with green vegetable dye to make them technicolor enough. And people laugh heartily every now and again, just in case you think it was getting too serious. Not to mention, every so often someone picks up a weapon and fights someone else. And the fights are theatrical, or possibly melodramatic is the word I'm looking for. The choreography is also properly pantomime in that there's a lot of overhead cutting, which is also quite similar to ballet. When I say there are a lot of overhead cuts, I would estimate about 1/3 or more of the moves in this fight are an overhead cut with a parry 5 in response. When you block something coming down from overhead, we call that a parry 5. Should you reverse the direction, that is called a parry 5A. Nobody does a parry 5A in this film. After I'd watched the whole fight through for the choreography, I texted my friend Jack, who is a fight director, and my opening gambit will tell you everything you need to know about how good or not I am at small talk. By my estimation, 40% of the moves in the Adventures of Robin Hood sword fight are overhead cut with parry 5. They really, really love parry 5. Smiley face emoji. Follow-up text. You are entirely welcome for this useless piece of information. To his credit, he did not respond, Jill, why are you telling me this? But instead told me that British military saber drilling was almost entirely parry 5 and asked me what year the movie came out. To which I responded 1938 and he was like, yep, that checks out. The fight director on this film was Fred Cavins and his son Albert did some of the stunts. Fred Cavins was a fencing master and a graduate of the Military Institute of Physical Education and Fencing in Belgium, and if you talk about old Hollywood sword fights, his is a name you will hear a lot. So let's break down this first section. Gisborne attacks 3, that's your partner's right shoulder. 5, that's directly overhead. Parries 2, defending his right hip, assuming that you are right-handed, which they both are. Attacks 5, parries 2, parries 5, and falls over so that Robin can fight another guy. Guy. When he returns, he attacks 5, then 2, then 5 again, or maybe that's a 3? Then 4, which is your partner's left shoulder, then 3 again. Cut to Robin parrying 5-ish, 2, 5-ish again, and then stabbing. Yay, stabbing! But anyway, we cut away. And when we come back, it's Guy again, attacking 5, 2, parry 3, pause, stabbity stab. Attack 4, parry 5, get shoved away. Then there's a dramatic bit with a spear. And as Robin legs it up the stairs in his green tights, there's a lovely bit of shadow work, which we will come back to when we get to the main section. So this set of 3 phrases sets us up pretty nicely for what we're going to see in the rest of the fight, actually. Lots of overhead attacks, some use of other things which aren't swords to change things up, changes in location, stunt work like the random spear, and also a little bit of Basil Rathbone working really hard to make sure it looks like Errol Flynn actually knows what he's doing. If you like this fight and you'd prefer me not to spoil it, please look away now, because once I saw this I couldn't unsee it. When Robin is attacking in the fight, we're generally okay, and when we're on Gisborne and we don't see what Robin is doing, we're also generally okay. But there are definitely occasions when Errol Flynn is just holding his sword out. I'm not going to point out every instance of this, but there are a few of them. Thankfully, the fight scenes are undercranked to a degree that it goes by so fast that you generally don't notice it the first time through. Anyway, narratively speaking, in our initial phrases, Guy of Gisborne does most of the attacking and Robin does most of the defending. As we move through the fight, that is going to change. So let's do that. Section 2 begins with Robin and Guy of Gisborne fighting their way down the spiral staircase. Gisborne attacks 5, Robin attacks 1, then again Gisborne 5, Robin 1.
Did I upset your plans? You've come to Nottingham once too often. When this is over, my friend, there'll be no need for me to come again.
In the middle of the section on the stairs, there is, of course, quipping. The quipping is very important, and also kind of panto. Gisborne attacks 5, 1, Robin attacks 5. Gisborne attacks 4, Robin attacks 5. Gisborne attacks 4, Robin attacks 5. Gisborne stabs for the centre, which gives Robin a chance to dodge out of the way, and Gisborne, or rather Basil Rathbone's stunt double, falls down the stairs. His sword does fall in exactly the opposite direction to the direction that it would need to fall for the continuity of the scene, but never mind. It is quite possible that it would not have been safe to try and send the sword off in that direction, and so they just didn't do it. After all, you're going to be watching this in the cinema one time. You're not going to be slowing it down to look for flaws, right? This is not the only continuity error in this fight. There are a couple, but this is the one I noticed first. Still, we do love a dramatic stunt. We've already broken up the sword fighting by having other people attack Robin, cutting away to other characters, then changing location, spear throwing, and then of course this part where they've moved to a part of the castle where they are alone, because that just makes it more dramatic for the final showdown. And once Gisborne has fallen down the stairs, here we have another moment to cement Robin's character very firmly in our minds.
Your sword, Gisborne.
He's an overconfident rascal, but he's also very fair. He doesn't want to win unless he's earned it. We have now reached the point in the fight where we get more parity in terms of who is attacking and who is defending. The first few phrases were very Gisborne heavy, but now we're having a bit more of a back and forth. To wit, Gisborne attacks 3, 1, 5, Robin attacks 2, 5, 2. We cut away to some other characters doing stuff because there is a big battle going on. We cut back to Cora struggling. I guess that's a 3 from Gisborne. Anyway, Robin falls back over the candles, which is a lot of fun. Gisborne attacks the candles and Robin throws a loose candle at him so he can retrieve his sword. I love it. When Gisborne attacks, Robin traps his blade against the candles.
You know any prayers, my friend? I'll say one for you.
And this is the part where Robin really gets going, where he finds his stride, and the ratio of his attacks versus his parries goes up substantially. In traditional hero's journey type stories, there's often a point in the fight where the character suddenly clicks with a piece of information that they have been learning all along, and now they know what they're doing and they can win. This isn't the case with Robin Hood. He is basically the same character from beginning to end. Nonetheless, we have gone from Gisborne being in control of the fight to parity to now Robin being in control. And so we get even more use of environment from Gisborne because he's getting more desperate. Robin stabs at him, Gisborne parries 1, which is left hip, by the way, and loses his sword, actually. But that didn't happen. That definitely didn't happen. Gisborne attacks 5 with the candles in the way. 1 parried upright, but anyway. 5, Robin attacks 4, 3, 5, 2, 4, and then maybe 1, judging by this parry from Gisborne. Gisborne attacks 5, Robin attacks 5, Gisborne attacks 5, and we do some binding! Yay! Robin ducks as Gisborne slashes at his head horizontally. Hooray for variety. Robin attacks 1, Gisborne attacks 5 while Robin is clambering over the candles. Robin stabs in and Gisborne parries 2, then 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, and we get into the shadow play, which is maybe 5, 3, and hold, 4, 3, 5, 2, 3, and hold, a stab which Gisborne slips. Gisborne finally decides to do something and does a horizontal cut which Robin ducks. Robin attacks 1, Gisborne attacks 5, Robin attacks 4 and something. I'm not quite sure. I think 3, then 1, then maybe Gisborne attacking 5, and then they reappear. I love this section, both because it shows that Robin has taken control of the fight, and also because of this beautiful use of shadows. I mean, they use shadows at other points in the movie, but this is just iconic, really. And the way they do it as a single cut down, and then off screen as shadows, and then back onto the screen, just gorgeous. I love it so much. And like I said, this is also the point where you think, ah yes, Robin is definitely going to win, it's just a matter of time now. Robin attacks 4, 3, 4, 3, 5. They're very close together, it's a little hard to tell. Robin attacks 2, and we cut in the middle of the attack, and that continuity is on point. Robin parries 4, beats Gisborne's blade away, and stabs, which Gisborne avoids. Stabs, which Gisborne parries 4. Gisborne tries to tip a brazier on Robin. Robin beats again. Attack 1, parry 5. Stab, which Gisborne parries extremely downwards while avoiding. I like it. Robin then flicks his blade up, I guess. We cut. Robin attacks 4, then 3, then there's a neat, I want to say envelopment, but I'm not sure if that's correct. There's a parry, and then Gisborne takes control of the blade to trap it against the table. Robin attacks 5, and then traps Gisborne's blade on the table in retaliation, and then Robin tries a horizontal head cut, which of course only gets the candle. Gisborne shoves the table over and Robin with it, but before he can make good on that, Robin shoves that table right back, and then leaps over it to attack 2, 5, 2, probably 5, but we cut away. Do you like overhead parries? I hope you like overhead parries. Also, people being stabbed with blunt blades and dramatically dying even though their clothes haven't been cut. Yeah. Panto. We have now returned to a place where you can see extras fighting in the background, just in case you had forgotten that there was in fact other stuff going on here. And this is the part that's the flashiest sword-wise, even though it's fairly simple. Robin performs some dramatic figure 8s before attacking, you guessed it, 5, 2, 3, then 5, 2, 3, 2. Gisborne attempts to attack 5 while not actually injuring Errol Flynn, then attack 2 while again not actually injuring Errol Flynn. Robin sticks his sword out, Gisborne beats it away and attacks 3. Robin attacks, wait for it, 5, parries 2, maybe, attacks 5. I'm a little unclear who is doing what here. When we cut to Gisborne, it's much more obvious from Basil Rathbone's face whether he's attacking or defending, so I'm more confident in saying that this section is parry 2, 5, 2, attack 4, 2, parry 4, attack 3, attack 3, stab and turn for the final phrase. And I think that's a disengage and Robin just slides back to avoid being stabbed. Attack 5, parry 2, attack 5, parry 2, attack 2, parry 5, stab, but we end up core again. Guy of Gisborne reaches across with his left hand, grabs his dagger, tries to stab Robin, fails, is pushed away, and then... And that is a really nice moment. He doesn't stab him and then just kind of stand there. He stabs him and then he leaps back to see if that did the trick, because you don't actually have to stab someone right up the length of your sword to kill them. This much would probably suffice to kill a man. And of course it does do the trick, and then we get the dramatic Basil Rathbone death. Huzzah! For all that I said that I don't really like Errol Flynn, it's a good sword fight. It is, in terms of the sword fighting moves used, not a technically complicated fight, but they add in enough visual interest with other things to make it look good. And it does look good, it's very entertaining. Moment of silence for Basil Rathbone. Parry the sword, Baz, and then envelop it to trap it against the table, and then hit Errol Flynn, but don't actually hit him, even though he is doing nothing to prevent you. There are a lot of exciting bits with the braziers and candles and stunts and tables and falling downstairs and all of that kind of thing. But I have to say, I do like the Mark of Zorro sword fight better. The Guy of Gisborne Robin Hood sword fight is excellent, and everyone loves it. But they don't love it because it's technically brilliant, at least not from a sword technique standpoint. They love it because it is relatively simple things executed reasonably well. Vivid characters with clear stakes and motivations, the soundtrack is great, the costumes are great, the sets are great. Everything comes together and makes it just fun. What did I miss? The cinematography. The cinematography is great. Basically, The Adventures of Robin Hood is just really well put together. And because it's really well put together, it doesn't matter that 35 to 40% of the moves are just someone going. As many of you know, and often point out exhaustively, Basil Rathbone was in fact a real fencer. And in his one-man show, he always said that he could have stabbed Errol Flynn anytime he wanted, which was fair. He also said Tyrone Power could have fenced Errol Flynn into a cocked hat. And based on this, I'm thinking that he is entirely correct. However, if you're talking about technique, it's really not very fair to compare the Mark of Zorro with the Adventures of Robin Hood, because the Mark of Zorro uses fencing swords, basically, and the Adventures of Robin Hood uses arming swords, like this one. This is a sort of Gryffindor prop, but you know, it is an arming sword. It's broader and it's heavier and it's more difficult to execute the sort of fine detail stuff with. And so it would be very unfair to compare the choreography of this arming sword fight to the choreography of the Mark of Zorro, which is a fencing sword fight, basically. To be fair, you would have to find a Basil Rathbone Errol Flynn fight where they used fencing swords. Oh, if only we had one of those. Oh, we do. Amazing. Alright, come back next time and we'll talk Captain Blood. This video was still sponsored by me. Buy my book.